On this day of days, we begin with a single line. A line drawn in black ink, thin as a whisper, sharp as a razor, elegant, slightly wicked. A line that made respectable Victorian London drop its teacups and raise its eyebrows. The young man who drew that line was called Aubrey Beardsley. Yes, London calling. London walks, connecting. This is London. This is London walks. Streets ahead. Story time. History time. Today is March 16th, 2026. The anniversary of the day London lost one of its most dazzling young artists, Aubrey Beardsley. And that name, that's our cue. Back we go. Picture London in the 1890s. Gas lamps glowing. Hansom cabs rattling over the cobbles. Black coats, starched collars, and a great deal of Victorian respectability. And then along comes this pale, brilliant young artist with a pen dipped in black ink. You might have found him in Bloomsbury, perhaps walking past the British Museum, or climbing the steps into that great circular reading room where generations of London writers and thinkers came to work, because Beardsley belonged to that London world. Young artists, editors, magazines, ideas flying about like sparks. And in the middle of it all, he begins drawing things London has never quite seen before. Women with impossibly long hair, strange flowing robes, figures that drift across the page like smoke, elegant, beautiful, and just a little bit dangerous. The drawings caused a sensation. They shocked some people, delighted others, and made Aubrey Beardsley one of the most talked about young artists in London, all before he was 25 years old. Because that's the other extraordinary thing about Aubrey Beardsley. He died in 1898, at the age of just 25. But before that short life ended, he had already changed the look of modern illustration. His breakthrough came when he was asked to illustrate Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, medieval romance, and Beardsley turned those stories into something extraordinary. Huge areas of black ink, delicate white space, strange, elongated figures. It looked unlike anything Victorian illustration had seen before. And suddenly this young man, in his early 20s, was the talk of London's artistic world. But the real explosion came with a magazine, a new London publication called The Yellow Book. Even the color was a provocation. Yellow covers had become associated with scandalous French novels, decadence, impropriety, everything respectable Victorian London was supposed to disapprove of. Inside were stories, essays, poems, and Aubrey Beardsley's astonishing illustrations. Long black curves, exotic figures, images that seemed to wink at the reader. Hovering over this whole London artistic world was one of the most famous writers in the city, Oscar Wilde. Now, Wilde and Beardsley were never exactly partners in crime, but their names became linked in the public imagination. And then, in 1895, the storm broke. Oscar Wilde was arrested at the Cadogan Hotel. Crowds gathered outside. Newspapers roared with scandal. And then something curious happened. As Wilde was taken away, someone noticed he was carrying a book with a yellow cover. That was enough. Within hours, the rumor was flying across London. Oscar Wilde had been arrested carrying the Yellow Book, the decadent magazine, the scandalous publication, the one illustrated by Aubrey Beardsley. The publishers panicked. Respectability demanded action, and Beardsley was dismissed. Out. Finished. There was just one small problem with the story. The book Wilde was carrying wasn't the Yellow Book at all. But the damage was done. Beardsley kept working because he knew something most young men don't know. He knew time was short. Tuberculosis had followed him since childhood, so he drew, relentlessly, brilliantly, page after page of those extraordinary black lines, lines that would influence Art Nouveau, graphic design, illustration, even modern comics. And when he died on this day in 1898, aged just 25, London had lost one of its most dazzling young artists. But those lines remain. Elegant, sinister, playful, a little wicked. Aubrey Beardsley proved something rather wonderful, that sometimes a single line of ink can scandalize a city. And on that note, London Walks bids you adieu. But we'll be back tomorrow, because tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, and London has a fine Irish story to tell. Until then, the routine but genuinely meant valediction. Here's to lots of great Londoning, one and all. See you tomorrow.